Hi and welcome to another vlog. Today I'm going to be talking about some comments raised by other YouTubers in recent videos. Then I'd just like to show you a couple of pickups that I've made this week. Then talk very briefly about a game I've been playing, and then also about a game I'm probably going to be playing next week. And finally, I'd like to end on the topic of tag videos. Well, firstly, I'd like to mention a guy called Alex that I've met on YouTube recently. He's got a channel called Bluetonic78, and it's a really nice channel. It's him talking to you about his passion, video games. And he does pick up videos, he does kind of commentary on different related issues to do with gaming, and also talks about stuff that's going on in the YouTube community. So it's really nice. And what I like most about his channel, what I've seen of it so far, obviously he's got a lot of videos and I haven't been able to look back and watch a lot of them, but you know, I've watched a few, and it's the way he can connect with the people that he's talking to. It's very much like, and he said this in his most recent video, or one of the most recent ones, that he likes to talk as if he's talking to you. And that's what I really like, is that kind of connection. You feel like the person's addressing you, although obviously I think he's got 500 or more subscribers. He's addressing all of those people, but it feels like a personal connection, like he's chatting directly to you, like if you're sitting down having a chat with one of your mates. I mean, I mentioned this a couple of vlogs ago when I mentioned Steve Benway, and I think his channel has a similar quality. His Friday Talkies especially, it's just like he's sitting down having a chat with you and getting a few things off his chest that he wants to talk about, and Alex does the same, and I really like that. And in his, not his last video, but the one before, he mentioned a few, well, 3 points actually. He made a video, quite a long video, where he talked about 3 topics that were raised by other YouTubers, and I'd just like to address each of those, well, hopefully quickly. The first thing was the idea of the riots in some way being responsible for, or not the riots being responsible, gaming in some way being responsible for the riots, because a police officer had mentioned this, and I think a couple of other celebrities as well had brought up this issue that gaming is kind of the demon for these things. And Alex said that it is responsible in a way, and I'm inclined to agree with him that the content that we find in video games these days is really quite adult content, yet the games are being played by quite young people. I remember, it must have been 5 or 6 years ago now, was it, when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out on the PS2? I was working part-time in a video game store, and the number of mothers who came in to buy that for their sort of 12 or 13-year-old child, and we would, you know, obviously tell them that it was an 18 certificate, they could see it on the case. A number of times I'd had the mother had come in with the child had given us the game, and I'd said to the mother, you do realise that this is an 18 certificate game? And then more often than not say, oh yeah, it doesn't matter, all the other kids at school are playing it. Now, that's not to say that if that is a stable child, it's going to affect him. He knows the boundary between what's reality and what is a game. He'll know the boundary between how to act and how not to act in a civilized society. But there will be some people that'll be tipped over the edge by this, but there's such a small minority that I don't think we should worry too much about it. And the idea of these riots are being caused by video games, I find quite ridiculous. Some of the social schism that may have been the reason for this, games and particular movies and musical content, could in some way be partially responsible, but well, I don't think it's a problem. Okay, the second issue raised was the idea, completely different to this. The idea that YouTubers go out and buy stuff purely so they can make a video about it. And Alex had said that, yeah, he'd done this from time to time, but he doesn't do it anymore. And I've only made a few videos, hardly any at all. And I certainly haven't bought anything just so I've got something to make a video of, but as you might have seen in the last Gamers Living Room episode, I had to buy a Commodore Amiga because I no longer had one. I wanted to do a review on it. Reviewing the Master System. I didn't have a Model 1 Master System. I didn't really want to use the Model 2, so I got a Master System converter for the Mega Drive to use for that review. So yeah, I've gone out and bought bits, and just this week for my latest video, I had the machine, but I didn't have the game that I wanted to review because I'd sold it many years ago, and so I had to go out and get that. So I suppose I am responsible in a way, but it's the videos that I want to make dictate the hardware or software that I get, not the purchasing of something just to necessitate making a video of it. And the third point he'd raised is something that had come from Steve Benway. He mentioned it on his Friday walkie, which was the week before last, or the Friday before last. And he mentioned that someone had contacted him who'd just started collecting, had managed to pick up a machine, had got a good deal on it, and then had asked Steve, what are good machines to collect? And Steve was a bit puzzled by this. It's a very personal thing for him. He collects for a number of reasons, but he was a bit stumped as to what to say to this guy. What's a good thing to collect? And I thought about this, and Alex had mentioned a couple of ideas of his, but I think collecting something that you had when you were a kid, or something that you'd wanted to have when you were a kid, is a good place to start. And this is what Alex had said, and also I'd heard Dave over at LawnBoysPost, he'd mentioned that as well. And I thought about it, yeah, that is a good place to start. And for me, the things that I'm buying now are things that I had when I was younger and want to get back. Also, like you might have seen with the PC Engine, something that I'd wanted and now have managed to buy. But I'd also thought about this, well, what if you're wanting to collect retro stuff and you weren't around then? What if your idea of retro is the early release Xbox 360 titles? I mean, you might only be a young teenager yourself, and I've seen quite a few on YouTube who are, in their early to mid-teens, and they're really getting into retro collecting. So where would they start? And I thought about this, that maybe it's a good idea to, I think I would, get an 8-bit and a 16-bit system and start there. Maybe it's an 8-bit computer and a 16-bit computer, or I would probably choose an 8-bit console and a 16-bit console. Or maybe, like I've got with the Mega Drive and the Master System converter, so you've got one machine and you can play titles from both systems. Something like that I think would be a good place to start. Give you an idea of, you've got quite a span of years, sort of 85 to 95 really, around about that time, 10 years worth of games titles that you can use on your machine. So I think that's a good place. Or another thing that Steve Benway had brought up in his latest Friday talkie was about clone machines. Now I think this would be a really good place to start for a young collector who doesn't really know what they want to get into. These machines can be picked up for about £20, and like the Mega Drive one that he had, it got 20 games in it and some pretty good titles, and also it's got a cartridge slot, so you can start building up your collection at the same time. And then if at a later date you think, hey, I really like the Mega Drive, you can get rid of the clone because it's not as good as the Mega Drive itself. Get yourself a Model 1 Mega Drive, and you've probably built up a stack of a few games to go with it as well. So I think that's probably my best idea for a good place to start. And then another thing that not connected to these points, but something else that I thought was quite interesting that Alex raised was about Dave over at LawnBoysPost, and he was talking about him saying, oh yeah, he's got a really good channel, and I agree. I mentioned this in my last vlog. Really entertaining, great guy to listen to, got a lot of good stuff, not just games but sort of comics and other collectibles. Really interesting channel to watch. Again, someone else who's really good in front of the camera, can make you feel like they're just chatting to you. It's just your mate having a Skype chat to you. So very cool stuff. And Alex had mentioned about the theme tune to LawnBoysPost1975 and it getting stuck in his head, and I was thinking, shit, that's exactly the same. It's one of those tunes that's just so catchy. I find myself humming it. You know, I might be standing at the bus stop and I'm like, oh God, why is that in my head? And I'm thinking, oh, I want to go and see another one of his shows. It's that good. It's one of my favourite theme tunes that's on YouTube at the moment. It's really catchy. So if you haven't seen his channel, just go over there just to check out his theme tune. It's very cool, and it's a bit of an earworm. You know, it gets stuck in your head and it doesn't come out. And I'd like to address something that David mentioned as well, about this issue of someone had contacted him offering to sell him subs. It's this idea that people in the gaming community, especially kind of the collectors, retro gaming community, would want people to subscribe to their channel who are not going to watch it. To me, in my position, that seems completely ridiculous. There's no way I want anyone wasting their time subscribing to my channel if they don't want to watch the videos that I'm putting out. To me, I mean, I'm new to YouTube, and so I don't understand everything fully. But to me, it seems that subscribing to someone's channel is a way of saying, yeah, I want to see more of your videos. I like what I've seen, and I want to see more, because I don't know, what else does subscribing do apart from put their latest videos on your YouTube homepage? Do you get anything out of it by subscribing? But anyway, so there's that idea of selling subs for people who don't want to watch it, but they'll subscribe to your channel. I wouldn't want to pay for that. And then I've had people contacting me saying, oh yeah, I'll sub to your channel if you sub to mine. And I'm thinking, well, why would I want a subscriber who only wants to subscribe to my channel because they want me to subscribe to theirs? And you know, they send you this private email saying, oh, this is great because then we can help everyone and we can all get subscribers. And I'm thinking, I don't care. I've got, what, 30 subscribers on this channel and 70 subscribers on the other channel. I'm thinking, I don't care. I don't really need any more subscribers. I've got people whose videos I like to watch, and I can contact them and they can comment on my videos, and it's fine. You know, if the channels don't grow much above this, then I don't care. So that's me. That's all I'm interested in, is that there are some people who want to watch my videos and can give me feedback and can talk about the games that I'm interested and share what they're interested in as well. And it's this, I guess, this kind of idea of community. It was what I was looking for, and I found it. It's great. When I came up with the idea of calling my channel Gamers Living Room, as in the plural for gamers with an apostrophe after the S, my idea was, it's a kind of virtual community thing, like when you invite your mates over and they come and play FIFA or whatever you might play, or GoldenEye years ago, in your living room. It's that kind of idea of a giant living room. I don't know, it was just a crazy idea, but that's where the name came from. So yes, sub for sub, not interested. Buying subs, not interested. People who genuinely want to watch and comment and then communicate, that's all I'm interested in. So I'm getting some of that, and hopefully I'll get a bit more. Time Crisis. Yeah, it's Time Crisis Raising Storm, or